Hey everyone, it's Dr. D with you today from BrainBasedScience.com for episode 4 of Brain Tips 2.0. As always, I'm going to start the episode with a quote. This quote is from John Medina. The brain is most interested in survival, and it needs relationships and relating to others. That's the bottom line. And in everything that we do, that's what we have to remember. And as I've told you since the first episode, the brain is a primitive brain. Its purpose is survival. But the brain also needs relationships. So let us now begin this episode 4, where we're talking about the brain and relationships and the importance of teacher-student relationships, student-student relationships, and then we're going to connect this with 3 people that as educators we know, 3 researchers on educators that we know, Dr. Bloom, Dr. Maslow, and Dr. Lieberman, so that we can see which one, and it's all opinion, which one do you think connects most with student achievement and emotions and the brain and relationships. And then at the end, I'll tell you who I feel between those 3 that pretty much hits it a little bit more on the head as far as what we need to be seeing in the classroom and in your life as well, because this is not just for kids. So let's begin episode 4, Brain Tips. What are we on? 2.0, Brain Tips 2.0. Okay, so let's start off just by talking about relationships. Good, healthy relationships, right? So when you have a person, you're involved with a person in whatever way, shape, or form that excites you, that motivates you, that creates comfort for you, right? Your brain releases 3 major chemicals. Dopamine. Remember dopamine from the storytelling video? It's the pleasure seeker. It's what happens in gamification. It also helps keep you focused, reaching your goal. It's connected to the brain's reward system, everything positive. Unfortunately, cocaine is a major dopamine releaser, which leads to addiction of that drug because it just makes you feel so good. It's a huge dopamine releaser. The second chemical that's released is noradrenaline. Noradrenaline is the excitement chemical. It just makes you excited inside and you're just so thrilled and feeling so good, right? And then it also releases oxytocin. Oxytocin is the chemical that they call it the attachment chemical, right? When you get attached to someone. So did you ever wonder in a TV series why you might relate more to a certain character or maybe the show in itself? It's because there's something that's going on there that you feel an attachment to, a connection with, and the oxytocin is there. And then you want to watch that series or you want to watch that person and because you feel this sense of attachment. So just think about that and think about the impact that this can create in the classroom for a student who has a connection with a teacher. It's a game changer when the student feels a connection with the educator. Because think about the brain, the reticulating activating system, right? Which is the first place stimuli come in. And remember, it pans out 99%, keeps 1%. So that the RAS is like, oh, this is feeling good. There's no stress. Everything's feeling wonderful. So it doesn't have to give any alarms out. So then the signal now goes into the limbic system where we have the amygdala, right? Which is our second emotional filter. And the amygdala is like, there's no stress coming in. I feel good. So what happens when there is no stress that's coming in between your 2 filters? It is a highway to the prefrontal cortex, right? No traffic jam. It's a free. It's like being on the Autobahn in Germany. Just keep going. So what that means is that the kids can learn the best because there's no stress and it's a free pathway to the prefrontal cortex. So I want to connect this now with English language learners because you know that's where I always go. For English language learners, in my opinion, they always have a sense of stress depending on which level of language acquisition. Because those first 3 levels, they're learning. It's stressful. They're trying to get the academic language down. They're trying to get their basic interpersonal language down. They're trying to get the language itself down. They're in a different country. Okay, so there's this constant stress. So on their highway, there's always a little bit of a traffic jam. But when you can create these relationships with these kids, which on the website, you'll have resources. I created an abundance of resources for you that shows you what things you can do in your class to work on this relationship skill, building relationships with your kids. I also created an if-then table. If this is happening, then this is what you can do in situations that can happen in your class to help you build that relationship. But these relationships are instrumental to student academic achievement, because they feel a connection with you, oxytocin, dopamine release, because it's a positive experience. When we talk about remote instruction, they could be coming from a very, very, very hostile work-home environment, but you can make that time with you safe. And if they have that relationship with you, they still will be able to learn when they're in that virtual bubble of a classroom with you. Okay, so let's understand this. The brain's purpose is survival, and the brain also has a deep need for belonging, right? For relationships. When these needs are met, everything else works. There's no stress coming in from the filters, nothing. So with saying that, let's talk about the 3 people. Dr. Bloom, Dr. Maslow, and Dr. Lieberman. Now, in Dr. Bloom, he has to do with Bloom's taxonomy, and it's purely in the cognitive domain, okay? Purely cognitive domain. How we go from lower order thinking, how we go to higher order thinking, helping us understand the difference between difficulty and complexity. That's all within Bloom. Now with Maslow's on the emotional need, the need to belong, right? And a lot of times you'll hear the saying Maslow before Bloom. But in Maslow, there's hierarchy. There's physiological needs, there's safety needs, and then there's belonging and love. Now, I thank someone on LinkedIn who let me know that in the beginning, in the original document from Maslow, there wasn't any hierarchy, but there is now. So I do thank that person because I didn't know that. But they have hierarchy now. So for Maslow, it's the 3rd one up. Now with Dr. Lieberman, his belief is that belonging is the most important one, because when you feel that belonging, when you feel that love, that someone cares for you and that you're important to them, your physiological needs and your safety needs are met, right? So an example that I read about in Marley Springer's book was about a 7th grade student who had to go to the bathroom really, really bad, but it was during picking teams for volleyball. She didn't want to go to the bathroom because it was important to her to belong, for someone to pick her so she could be on a team. So at the expense of almost wetting herself, ignoring her physiological needs, she stayed until the selection process was done. Another person on LinkedIn, because this became a huge conversation on LinkedIn that I had, mentioned what happens when you break up with someone or you lose a loved one. You ignore your physiological needs. You don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you're depressed, because the emotional part was greatly impacted. So, my opinion, and solely my opinion, I take Lieberman first, because I believe that if we meet these needs of the students emotionally, and we create that student-teacher relationship. We let those kids know that I care for you, and this is a safe place for you, and you're a concern for me. That then that child is going to be able to learn better. There's no stress coming in. There's nothing inhibiting the two filters that go through. It's a highway to the front brain, to the prefrontal cortex to learn. So I go Lieberman, Maslow, and then Bloom is for the cognitive domain. Because what I say is, if we meet the emotional needs of the students, then the students will be able to bloom academically. Thank you. Happy sciencing, and I'll see you November 30th.